few years ago, I asked Father Joe Durkin, who was almost certainly the best teacher I had at Georgetown. I asked Joe, what do you think makes a really great teacher? He's an historian. He might well have said an ability to pass on tradition to a new generation. He's a Jesuit priest. He might well have said a capacity to pass on a culture with a sense of God's grace in it. But what he said, in fact, was, Leo, what makes a great teacher is a passion for ideas.
If you are a federal employee, special restrictions can be imposed on your right of free speech.
I remember one time we were sitting around having coffee before the first class in September. And finally I said, I know why everybody's skittish, because we're going to go off and meet our first classes, and it's a blind date. How's the evening going to go? Father Bill McFadden said, yes, but there's something deeper here, too. If we get them asking fundamental questions of vision and value, what do you really believe about the structure of reality? Do you believe in God or not believe in God? Once you do that, you can't go home again. Then you have to find your peace and your serenity and your joy within the complexity of life.
I remember sitting in Gaston Hall. I think Father Fitzgerald was the head of the academic campus. So he gets up and he gives the "You're the best and the brightest of Georgetown," which I bet you they give today too, and starts talking about grades and SAT scores. And I remember sitting there saying to myself, I wonder if they made a mistake letting me in here, if this was some kind of error. And I look now, and I've interviewed kids for Georgetown that, that would blow your socks off in terms of what they had accomplished, how smart they were.
Georgetown has been different things to different people, and I think that's been very consistent with the whole vision of what Georgetown was meant to be, a place that meets the world.
Somebody once said that the law is a system of wise restraints that make men free.
When he attacked separate but equal as inherently unconstitutional.
We are the largest law school in the country. From the beginning, we were named the Law Center to remind us that we exist here for a larger purpose.
I always thought I would be serving in a community where people really needed health care and didn't have a lot of options available to them. He's now 7 months old, right? I actually went to medical school at Georgetown, and I stayed on the unit as the first.
The key to it is a really old Jesuit idea, and that is that study is always to produce results in the world and for the sake of the world.
The kinds of questions that we ask as a university continue to be the same. About meaning, about belief, values. It's asking it in a different set of contexts as the society evolves. But the answers, God, integrity, truth, are the same.
I began to appreciate once I left Georgetown what a mark they'd made on my life and the message that they had given me.
It's interesting and intriguing to watch them struggle, sometimes against themselves, sort of push their way toward what they can be. One of the things Georgetown's really realizing is that it's been terrific at producing a certain kind of student. People who go into politics, foreign service, international business. But there's a real talent pool for other things here as well. I don't think it is accidental that the Jesuit Carol at the founding of the Republic invented Georgetown. It was the particular quality of willingness to move into a new area, flexibility, that Carroll had that made him understand how to produce this kind of university when there had never been a precedent for it before. The best thing about Georgetown is that it has this long, deep tradition of ethical seriousness, combined with a sense that each individual must work out his or her own way to operate in the world. It's in that balance that I think Georgetown's tradition becomes particularly rich and appropriate for the moment.
One of the things I love most about the university is its combination of tradition and innovation. Just inside my office is a portrait of the young man who spoke on behalf of the student body when George Washington came in 1797. And at that time, our catalog was printed not only in English, but in Spanish and French, a sign that we were international from the beginning.
Villa Le Base ha un atmosfero magnifico. It's all related to Italian culture, history, government. I took contemporary Italian government.
Actually, the tower is built on top of the foundations of an Uberti Tower. In fact,
You know, one of the things that has happened at this university is the walls have disappeared. They move back and forth between places of education in very interesting ways. And the other thing about our students is they want to make things happen.
Georgetown University Medical Center is known for its teaching and research, and at the same time delivering that care with compassion, and is what has kept me here for the last 25 years, and hopefully for another many, many years to go.
When I first entered the field, the ability and tools to solve the disease were simply not there, but they're there now. The research questions are fabulously interesting and really cross all disciplines of medical science. Some of our new approaches are genuinely thrilling.
My daughter just blossomed. And you're going to ask what she's doing, right? With a history major, I asked her, I said, what are you going to do? She said, well, Dad, I'd like to be a country music singer. To be out on the lawn in front of Healy, where students have accumulated for over 200 years, and the spires of Georgetown before you and the Potomac below, it was just breathtaking. And to see your daughter, getting emotional here, see your daughter walk down that aisle was just something I'll never forget. And to have Deborah Tannen give the commencement address.
I talked about how in my own life there were moments when I had made a commitment to do something, but I was so terrified that I really wished the earth would open up and swallow me up and I wouldn't have to do it. But in the end, it all came together. I encouraged the students to find something in their lives that they cared passionately about. And it may not be clear from the very first moment what that is, but if you follow your instincts, you will find something, not just for yourself, but for the world.
I love Georgetown. I can see friends of mine from Georgetown that I haven't seen in a couple of years, and you can pick up like it was yesterday, because there's a bond there that never seems to go away. I really believe that Georgetown gave me a core set of values that I really believe in, that I've tried to live my life by. I have my son graduating, and it'll be thrilling and a little bit melancholy, because this is sort of the last step in him stepping off into his own life.
One of my own favorite expressions for what I hope we can be as a university is the home for wisdom, for the greater glory of God and the well-being of humankind. And I take that to be a sense of life's true purpose. I think of John Carroll as the greatest blessing the university has had. He gave us this great legacy that his academy should be open to citizens of every class and students of every religious profession. That vision is as valid today as it was then. When it comes to learning, there's no limit to one's hopes, to one's ambitions. How great a university do we long to be? We should be the best that Georgetown can be forever.